discuss how Likkle ideas are transformed into big dreams. The toolkit, and you will access a lot of resources. A lot of the information that we presented here today, there are a lot of activity sheets. So we encourage you to download some of that information. Also, there's a digital swag bag with Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Likkle Byte Ideas. I am Doreed Whitlock. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Samuel Fields Consulting Group. And of course, every Wednesday, we are delighted to host this show where we reflect on business. We look at some of the trends, some of the issues affecting business and finance in Antigua and Barbuda. And of course, I don't do the show alone. Let me get my co-host, Megan Samuel Fields, in here so that we can have a great conversation today.
Hi, good afternoon, Doreed. It's a pleasure to be here again. The weeks are rolling by really fast, aren't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, it's not a huge celebration in Antigua and Barbuda, but around the world. February 1st is another month, and this month we are looking at Black History Month, Black Entrepreneurship. When we were putting together this show, we were like, in Antigua and Barbuda, it's Black History Month every day, all day.
Every day.
And to kick the month off, we want to look at some of the legacy businesses, some of the legacy Black businesses in Antigua and Barbuda. There are lots of small businesses. Antiguans, I found in recent times, there is, maybe it's since COVID, but there's such a resurgence of interest in starting your own business and having your own legacy, especially among our youth. Yeah. I don't know what you think, Megan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We see it every day.
And I think that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. Young people like to own something, to do their own thing. But let's get back to the original movers and shakers in Antigua and Barbuda. And, we're going to look at some of the businesses that we grew up with. And, they started before we were even around. Unfortunately, there are not a whole lot of Black small businesses that have grown. There are not a lot of them left. And so today we want to really celebrate one of those businesses that everyone knows in some form or fashion. The Ryan Group of Companies. Many of you may not even know some of the subsidiaries to be associated with the Ryan Group of Companies, but we had Mr. Ryan on over a year ago.
Yes.
And I really learned a lot. I had no clue.
You have to say Mr. George Ryan because
Mr. George Ryan. Yes, there's so many Mr. Ryans. We're up to the third generation now.
Exactly. And we had another Mr. Ryan on as well on that show, his grandson.
That's what I'm saying. So we're up to the third generation now. And I think that's a very special thing. But let's get straight to it and welcome our guest today that we're so excited to talk to. Let's first bring in Mr. Paul Ryan, someone we grew up with. He's always been working.
True.
And the rest of us went
after
to
school.
Play and hang out. He had to go to work after school. Remember those days? So he's been working. He's been working forever, but here we are. The businesses have grown and you're still around. Welcome, Paul. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Megan and Doreed. And it's pretty good. And certainly thank you for having us here this afternoon.
I'm so glad you're on. I've been trying to get you on for a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad we're able to do it. And of course, let's welcome his younger brother, Lyndon Ryan.
Good afternoon, all. Megan and Doreed. Good afternoon, folks.
Hi, Lyndon.
Great.
So
it's a pleasure to welcome you both. And of course, as we were talking before the show, we thought you were a little older. We didn't realize that you were like the baby brother back in the day. I mean,
yes.
given the age difference, we're like, so why do we even know that, why do we even know his name? He should have been in, primary school when we were in the forms, but I guess.
Lyndon was always the quiet one.
You live and you
I
learn.
remember that too. But I just somehow thought that he was older than Curtis. I clearly got my wires crossed.
Yeah.
But then explain it properly to me, Paul.
And so, gentlemen, tell us a bit about the Ryan group of companies. Like I mentioned, some of the companies, people know, the Ryan business. Yeah, Ryan and that. But some people just don't even associate with the name. So tell us a bit. I'll give you, you can let you go first, Paul. Tell us a bit about the company, when it got started, where you are now.
Well, we have started really out of construction, Ryan's construction. That's where it all began. And then my dad, figured out one day that, he could not get materials to build the houses that he wanted to construct for his customers. And he decided back in the early 70s to open up his own hardware store. That started on Branch Avenue. That's where it all more or less begun. And it morphed into where they are now, Antigua Plumbing. We then opened up the Antigua Motors Limited, which is where I'm at. We started the City View Hotel. And all between the line, there was, my dad is just always building. He's not happy unless he's building. So, several apartment complexes, the Ryan building on High Street. And, even during that time, he himself branched off and became partners in other organizations, starting ABIB, being involved in the Jolly Beach Hotel. But the main core of the Ryan Group is the Antigua Plumbing and Hardware Center, and you can say / the Antigua Home and Garden Discount Center, which also is what was the last to come on stream in the group, basically.
That's fantastic. And of course, you have the conference facilities upstairs. I've been there for a few events, and I think that's such a cool, finding event space in Antigua.
And in town.
And we are evolving. That will soon be morphed into something else pretty soon.
Wow.
As you know, Antigua Plumbing just went through a major expansion. Linda can probably speak to a bit more about what has been done over there.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Linda.
Everybody just said plumbing.
Plumbing. Where you going? Plumbing.
Yeah.
And hardware was too long.
Yeah, that was too long. Plumbing, and there was only one plumbing. So hey.
Exactly.
Well, it was always plumbing and hardware. Plumbing and hardware. It's always plumbing and hardware, and then we added the building material and the lumber, and the lumber yard came after the hardware.
That's true.
And we expanded the lumber yard where most of the income is, because a lot of people are buying a lot of lumber and steel, and there's a lot of building materials. It basically the lumber and plywood and steel is about 75% of our daily sales.
Oh,
wow.
So have you changed the name, or is it still Antigua Plumbing and Hardware?
Still Antigua Plumbing and Hardware Center.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that's all we need to know.
But so, what else have you expanded into? So you've done the building supplies. Have you expanded into any other areas?
It's basically everything from foundation to finish
So
the
one-stop
house.
shop.
We try to stick to that. Write down that is steel, as I said, lumber, plywood, plumbing items, as the hardware, and we're trying to keep up with the market, like with the laminate flooring and the security windows, and just as the market changes, we want to be with it.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's great. But I have a question for you, gentlemen. Lyndon, I'll start with you. I would imagine in both instances, your childhood, I'm sure, was unique when you compare it to any of your friends, maybe even family. I don't know that a lot of people grew up in a business the way you do. And I'm saying with Paul, all I remember is Paul wasn't a hangout kind of guy. He had to go to the store after school. If you saw Paul, it was in his uniform and working in the store. I'm just curious, growing up, of course, the business had not grown to the extent that it has today. So it was a smaller business. But when you were growing up, what were your career aspirations? Did you know that you were destined to work for your family's business, or did you consider other career options or a combination?
First thing I thought about when I was really young is being a pilot. And then after coming to work here after school every day, Monday to Friday, because
Saturday too?
I'm sure.
Yes,
I'm sure.
because we had to come every afternoon because we were selling some bicycles that we got. They call Likkle bikes. They're one of the toughest bikes out there. So every afternoon we had to come, install bikes, sell bike parts. That was our first homework, and then we go home and do the school homework. So it's basically every day was just basically work after school. So we started young.
So did you enjoy it? Was it something you enjoyed?
Yes, we had fun.
Good.
We had fun because the bikes were selling fast, and every afternoon we tried to see who first could reach to work and see who can put up the most bikes so we can get the most money. It was just that. Because you got an extra tip if you put up, more bikes,
Right,
So it was basically, just working and just banking our little income. Yeah.
So you started with financial literacy from early. You saw it in action.
Yeah,
hands-on.
We started work from young.
That's good.
Well, that was invested on by our dad. He opened the accounts and he made sure that whatever little savings we had went into those accounts. So, we were guided, strict guidance as to how we should mold ourselves into adults and being in business and learning to be a part of the family business growing up. I mean, as Lyndon said, for me, it was him. I mean, I actually started on the construction field. After school, I'll be running around with my dad on the different construction sites, and I'll be pushing the wheelbarrows and, turning in the cement, doing some hard work. And then, yes, eventually we moved into the hardware store, the bikes. I mean, we had to be bagging nails, weighing them, make sure they're no more than a pound to be sold. So it was work, fun working. But as you asked earlier, when you look at our friends were, they off to the beach or they off to some basketball court. Most of them, I think, even most of your friends now have migrated from Antigua to find, a better life. Wow. Don't know if it works for them or not, but we just stuck with it. We stuck with our family business. We stuck with our dad, and we're still here today.
Awesome.
I think this is a fantastic story.
Awesome.
So at the time, did you realize that your life was different? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Did you, of course, you probably had less leisure time than your friends, and everybody wanted to go play and hang out. You had responsibility, and from what I've seen from Mr. Ryan, I don't believe he was playing. But here's my question.
We didn't have much leisure time, but growing up after school, once we finished work, my dad actually built a cricket field at the back of the store. Not a field,
wow.
A pitch. And some of his friends would come over and we will join in. And we would have been going to the beach every Sunday. That was our leisure. We traveled a bit with our dad, when he traveled in business. But other than that, going out and liming, we had to steal out to go to the movies. And when you saw us at the disco club, we had to steal the car out. And
well, I am shocked here because you're going to say, I've seen you at parties. And I'm thinking, you had the best of worlds.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to us.
So you're stealing out the car.
On his little
On a
motorcycle.
Yep.
And everybody else was walking. Hey, he had a motorcycle. How
Yeah,
cool
the
is that?
motorcycle. Ooh.
Yeah.
But Paul, let me ask you the same question I asked Lyndon. Growing up, did you have other thoughts about a career aside from business that you wanted to pursue, or did you kind of know very early that you would end up in a similar, in a role that you're in currently?
I don't think I had the chance to think about anything else because it was always what Dad wants you to do. Even though it's not what he wanted to do, I actually grew into it. I actually grew up in the automotive side of things eventually. I mean, when he started Antigua Motors back in 1979,
Wow.
I was thrown into that business to be there to assist. And, still alongside working at the hardware store whenever, time allows. But I don't think I had the time to think about another career other than what I'm doing now.
Okay.
But I do love what I'm doing.
I was going to actually ask you that.
Yes, definitely love what I'm doing. I love cars, and
I remember that. Yeah.
Later on, one of my birthdays, I wanted to get some sort of recreation, and I bought a little boat, and that grew into me being the first powerboat dealer in Antigua as well. So
That's true. Paradise Boats and Sales? That's the name, right?
Yes, that's
Wow. That is awesome.
I try to do things that I love, and I think that's one thing an entrepreneur needs to learn, to understand. You cannot get into a business that you don't love.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the love and the heart for it to be in it. And as you girls know as well, I have a strong racing background.
We know that well.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yes.
Still,
you have the scars to show, Paul.
yeah.
So we probably knew you racing on the motorcycle and then upgraded to maybe racing in the car, huh?
Yes, definitely.
That's interesting. But Lyndon, I think you wanted to say something here.
Go ahead, Lyndon.
No.
Oh, okay.
What I was going to say, interesting.
That was a very quiet, reserved one, so I kind of stepped out a bit, but he can probably tell you about his after-school activities, after-work activities.
Oh, so
and you know what, Paul, what I was going to say, listening to both of you, the older ones, our childhood experience is a little different. When I hear my younger siblings talk about their childhood, we're not talking about a lot of years here, 5, 7, 10 years. It's a totally different world. The ones who come up behind, they have, the older ones with the trailblazers.
They don't know about playing marbles and skating on the sidewalks and all that sort of thing on your shoes. Put in some tacks on your shoe heel and skating on the sidewalk. There's so much things that we did back then that was.
But I wanted to zoom in. I wanted to zoom in on something you said.
Don't forget, on Sundays we go to Liberta every Sunday.
Yeah, to look for older folks.
But that's
who's in Liberta?
That's where my mother grew up. That's where she was born. Yeah.
Okay. But something I wanted to zoom in on that you said, Paul, about being an entrepreneur and you should love it. And I wonder, when Dorit started off first, she mentioned so many businesses that started when we were younger, and not many of them are still around. And I wonder if that is part of it, whether it's a case where they went into business and perhaps the next generation didn't fall in love with it the way you and Lyndon have. And if that could be one of the reasons. And if so, I'm just thinking of the new businesses that are here now. What could they do to help the younger generation fall in love?
All right. Well, I've actually seen some businesses that I've been close to who, in the earlies, the younger ones were never interested. And I guess when they travel, go overseas and realize how hard life is and that you could not, you know, they could not make it on their own and they eventually came back and fall in line. But I think most of it has to do with being involved from an early age into the business and learning it as much as you possibly can. Um, I mean, I don't think there's anybody in Antigua can talk lumber language than Lyndon, right? And other than maybe the older car dealers, Mr. Harney, I don't think there's anybody who can talk car language more than Paul Ryan. So it's something you just can't jump into it. It takes time to learn and it takes time to develop the knowledge of the business. And again, you don't be in it if you don't love it. If you don't love what you do, whether it's your parents' business or not, if you realize that this is not what you're cut out for, try start something on your own. If you fail, I'm sure your parents will take you back in.
But I think, what stands out a lot hearing you boys, and because I know you boys growing up, you've been in there from the very beginning. So it has become a part of you. And I wonder if perhaps, if that's what's missing from some of the other businesses. They don't somehow, the younger folks aren't brought in at an early age after school on a Saturday, getting to understand the business, weighing out the nails, doing the nitty gritty, and letting it become a part of you. And I wonder,
but in a fun way.
Of course,
I think
they have said.
Out for me, you guys sound, like however your father brought you in. Number one, I like the fact that you had bank accounts, so you could watch your money grow. So you could see, so you're rewarded along the way. I'm just curious to what extent were you allowed to touch that money? Did you have access to it? Could you go in and make a withdrawal? Did you get a little change for your pockets and then the rest of it was banked? How much? I'm trying to understand the reward system and what kept you motivated. I know if I had to go to work and I see a bank account growing and I can't get my little ice cream money, my little nail polish money or whatever it was back in the day, that's a different story. So I'm just wondering, to what extent did you have access to pocket change, spending money that would have made it, much more fun than if you felt that this was all deferred. You know how our parents used to think. Put it up for later, that kind of deferred kind of gratification.
We don't know if it was blocked or not until a certain age, but at that time, whatever we need, our father was always there to, we go down to, remember the Nook?
Yes.
Go to the Nook. We go to McKennan's restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
We basically, so we didn't have to touch our money.
Fantastic.
So,
good.
Every afternoon we go down to the Nook, get a snack and, the ham cutter and the hamburger and the meatballs and the patties. And so
you guys were rolling like working folk. You guys are rolling like people that had money, man.
Well, they were like working folk.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you're talking maybe a $20 girls. I mean, the thing is, you would have got the money in your hand, but it was told to you that you must put some of it away, right? So the little that you may have kept, you probably spend it at school. But after school, you're on the job. And after the job, it's time to go home, and dad is taking you home. And dad is going to stop by the Nook every afternoon and buy a dozen patties. And you may want to up that and say, Dad, I want a ham cutter today or a hamburger, and you take it at home. And that's your
the milkshake.
So
you guys had perks, man. This is a job I wish I had. Jesus,
that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing balance.
Nothing over expensive. It wasn't a bistro that we were going to every afternoon. It was, back then patties were probably 50 cents a piece. It's so much.
But that's awesome. So your father made sure you had time to play. He had a cricket pitch.
Yes.
And he made sure there was time for other fun and filling your belly, which young people would like. I like that. Your father was smart. It wasn't just a slave master. made sure you worked. I'm sure he made sure you worked and worked
And
hard.
work hard.
Mhm.
But
Very
after
hard.
work, you had to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I like that.
Yeah, but then there was a cut-off time. I remember that.
There was what?
There was an age when all of that cut off. Remember that?
Oh,
Oh,
you're
wow.
big man
What
now.
age was that? What age was that?
Basically, when you finish,
Finish.
secondary school and so on, things started to change.
Oh, big man to be.
And then,
Big man,
after
of
school,
course, a big
as
man,
you
yeah.
get older, things change.
So changed how?
Well, I mean, let's say we're able to manage our own money at that time. We're able to, as you say, if you want to access our accounts and so on, because we are after school and everything. And, I didn't go to any state. I didn't go to state college. I came right out of academy school and came to work.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So
We got no kind
basically at that time, we just,
we don't have the education like what you two guys have. We came from high school to the job.
Well, the kind of education
That's
you have,
that's
the on-the-job
the
education
you
we
need.
right. And I got a head injury in fourth form. I was out of school for a whole year.
You
No,
got
that
it.
sounds
Oh,
so
I'm sorry to
vaguely
hear that.
familiar.
Wow.
That
An
sounds
accident?
vaguely familiar.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Oh,
was
sorry
riding
to
was
hear
riding
that. Wow.
riding bicycle, and I got a person was walking across the road, and the person pants got hooked up into my handle for the bike, so I went
Oh
headway,
no.
and I was unconscious for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And all through that ordeal, our dad played a very supportive role. I mean, he actually was by Lyndon's bedside in the hospital every day,
Wow.
almost.
Mhm.
Even though he worked hard and everything, there was the humanitarian part of it that had to step in every now and again. I mean, he made sure we finish our schooling, but like him, he didn't have this fancy education, and
He never went to secondary school.
never went. And he came straight over from Montserrat here, started, a job, grew from a job to his business, and we basically just followed in that. But we did have to complete at least high school.
I hope your dad is watching. And if he isn't, make sure he watches this. He'll be
And
proud.
of course, through the years,
You know what's interesting though?
through the years we would have.
I don't know, Mr. Ryan. Oh, sorry. Let me.
Through the
Oh,
years,
go ahead. I think I was cutting you off. Go ahead.
Through the years, we'd have done a little courses with the different companies that we do business with. Lyndon got a lot of training online through business, people coming down to train him, teach him different things. Because as you grow, things change, and you gotta learn new stuff. So that's how it is.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So
I was
just
saying,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
Denise.
saying I don't know Mr. Ryan very well. I don't think I ever met him
No?
before we had that show. I mean, you know who
Okay.
he is, but I don't think I've ever had any contact with him before we had that show a year and a half ago. What stands out, what stood out then, and what has always stood out for me, what an articulate man.
Yeah.
He speaks, I mean, this guy sounds like a professor. When you guys are telling me, and even when he shared with us, his childhood, having to start working early and missing out on, academic opportunities. I mean, this is just a brilliant man. His diction, his communication skills are exemplary. Let's take a break. I'm sure we have lots of questions, and we'll get to the questions and acknowledge our viewers because this is such an amazing conversation. When we get back, we're going to talk about, I want to focus on the conversations, the financial conversations, and the extent to which your dad had financial conversations with you. What was the type of knowledge that he imparted? Of course, you have two parents. I want to hear more about Mrs. Ryan. I think I might have met her once or twice. I want to hear what role she had in your upbringing as well, and being the anchor in terms of the career choices, or at least, how you guys ended up. We want to talk a bit about that. And then, of course, we are having a conference in another month or so that's going to talk about financial literacy, which is our thing, and it's financial literacy TLC. Financial literacy, talk, learn, and commit. We're going to play the video, but when we come back, we're going to focus on the talking part of it. Financial conversations and why they are so important. So Aaliyah, let's take it away with the video. We'll come back, take some comments, and get back to the conversation. Okay, great. And for more information about Financial Wellness TLC, please go to our website, info, or send us a message, info@samuelfieldsconsulting.com. Our website is samuelfieldsconsulting.com. And it's going to be a very exciting conference, lots of conversations, exercises, activities. Of course, for many of us, whether it's personal or business, we are just beginning to explore, the post-pandemic era. How do you get back on track financially? And against that backdrop, there's talk about an economic downturn, slowdown, whatever you believe in. So we have found that there's a renewed interest in financial wellness. People want to make sure that they get their financial matters in order. And so that conference, or the upcoming conference, will definitely zoom in on how you can maximize financial opportunities by being more astute in terms of how you manage your money. So we'll play that again. We'll talk a little bit more about the conference further into the show. But Megan, let us acknowledge our ardent viewers who come on every week. Let's get some comments.
All right. So she missed last week, so she made sure that she was on early and bright today. Miriam Samuel says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miriam Samuel. And Kara Maxon says, very interesting. I Nelson says, hello. And she also says, I really love your show. Thank you so much, Arlene, for that. So keep sending the comments. That's all we have for now, but I know you have more to say. So keep them coming.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, these are gentlemen who just don't talk the talk, they walk the walk. When it comes to Black entrepreneurship, building legacy businesses here in Antigua, this is a rare opportunity to get to pick their brain and to learn more about the challenges that all businesses face. But of course, we are celebrating Black History Month this month. And so we are definitely trying to spotlight some of the legacy businesses in Antigua and Barbuda that have people of our persuasion, our skin tone at the helm. So gentlemen, let us talk a bit about back to your childhood, because I think that's where a lot of these goals and ideals and values are formed and shaped.
And character.
Tell us about the conversations that your dad had with you, and of course your mom, about because she was an entrepreneur herself. Let's also add that. So I guess in your world, all you know is self-employment. So tell us about some of the financial conversations that you might have had with both parents that have helped to shape your career choices, your success.
Okay. Well, first of all, we are somewhat separated from our original mom. Our mom died many, many months ago. She was an entrepreneur herself. She was a seamstress, self-employed, and obviously she was also a great motivator in having us, commit and stick to being engaged in dad's business. Um, she worked as well from morning to night on a sewing machine, um, making clothes for all sorts of people. Again, my dad, he was a stickler for doing things the right way, make sure we got to school, always got taken care of in terms of all school fees, funds for taking care of the home. In terms of spending, that was unnecessary spending. That was a no-no. I mean, we had to sometimes hide to buy things that we really didn't want him to see that we bought. And throughout, he made sure that we were always engaged in our jobs. He taught us to how profit is come around. If you're in a business, make sure you don't take from that business. You gotta, if you want something for your business, you gotta buy it from your business, not just take it. The thing is, you pay yourself and you don't take from the margin. You set yourself a salary. This is your salary. This is the company's net profit. This is what you pay to the revenue. This is what goes to shareholders, directors. Because yes, we are a family business, and the members of the family are the directors and shareholders of the outside person who is part of the business. So it was very tight knit. Yes, we were strictly taught how to manage, how to spend. If we bought a car, we must be able to know that we can afford to pay for it and not get it repossessed. Unfortunately, there's 7 of us, and there's only 3 of us who are now in the business. Again, not everybody would agree. Sometimes I disagree to agree in your business. But again, you gotta most of all love to do it, and be committed to the business, be committed to the growth of the business, and watch it grow. We are the younger ones, and we gotta move with the times, guide him as well to ensure that he comes along, because as he's still the CEO, and as senior as he is, I'm not going to say as old as he is, as senior as he is, he still makes sure he keeps an eye on everything. You need to report each business has to report their operations, their financial health to the board, and everybody got to make sure they stay in line and ensure that it is run the proper way a business should run. Yes, during COVID, we had a downtime. I mean, most companies suffered losses. At the car dealership, we would have not done as well as we should. But once you got out of that, it's boom. And you got to make sure you prepare during the downtime for the uptime. Make sure that you're able to cope, because it's not always going to be. You're not going to be always locked down forever. There's going to be a time when you're going to reopen up, and you got to be prepared for that opening. And we all sat down, put things in motion, make sure that none of these businesses closed their doors because of COVID.
Awesome.
We weren't going to join the group of companies who closed their doors. We planned ahead. We focused on what we had ahead of us. We met, we discussed plans going forward, how we should reduce if we had to. I mean, we didn't even lay off any staff.
Oh, wow. That's excellent.
Yeah. So.
But that speaks a lot, though, about proper financial planning, and not just during COVID, but pre-COVID. Because if you didn't have proper plans and strategies in place and controls in place, during COVID, things would have been a bit different. So that's
Lyndon,
really commendable.
Lyndon can tell you how difficult it is to get material. So Lyndon, speak a bit about how the struggle is to get it done.
Well, during and after, the first couple months after the COVID time, materials that used to take like about like a week to get took a month.
Wow.
Those from extra regional, like from China and the UK and stuff like that, they basically went from 3 months to almost 9 months.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Because there was a lot of congestion in some of the freight coming down here. A lot of congestion. A lot of boats were just stuck up one place, and it was just a lot of craziness. And my customers say, "When?" I say, "I can't tell you. All I have to do is to get an update, but I can't tell you. I can't be exact. Even till now, it's still not 100%. Material that I get from like South America, it's still taking a while because some of the factory has not gone back into full production because some of family members have died, maybe the CEO have died, and so there's a lot of changing. So things have really slowed down. So the material is not as available as before. It's gonna take some time.
So your job now is to manage the expectations of your customers, still keeping them happy.
That's correct. I have to try to make my customers happy. Try to find alternative. Like right now, there is a PVC sheet. It's like plywood, but it's made out of PVC. So I'm trying to change over a lot of customers to that. You can make dressing tables out of it. You can make a lot of stuff out of it. It's called PVC foam board, but we just call it PVC sheet. You can do shelving. You can do quite a bit. Almost everything that plywood can do, you can use the PVC sheet to do that. So some customers have changed over. Some have built like chest of drawers, just dressing tables, kitchen cabinets, and stuff out of it. There's one customer, he said, right now he's not going back to plywood.
Wow.
Don't reply because PVC sheet is making his kitchens look a lot better.
Wow.
How does it compare in terms of cost?
Right now the cost is around the same.
Okay.
So,
plywood prices have gone through the roof. Lumber prices went through the roof,
so,
and the PVC sheet fell in place.
so during this crisis, you learned how to pivot. So instead of just going with what you normally would sell, recognizing the challenges, you were able to pivot. And that's, I think, a very important part of business as well.
Absolutely.
Being prepared for the unexpected and being willing to be flexible, to pivot when needed, to make the
And
the
educate your
necessary
customers
changes.
as well.
That
They're trying to find alternatives.
yeah.
Yeah, what they have had to do as well on the hardware side is to, order more in one shipment because you never know when the next shipment is going to come.
Right.
I'm facing
That's correct.
a challenge in the car business. I mean, my lot is practically empty. And this is similarly, a lot of manufactured parts are still coming out of China. China, as you all know, is still suffering from COVID. They keep shutting down every now and again. And once they shut down, the world production lines goes on standstill. So it is a challenge for, I believe, practically every business getting product. On the other hand, shipping costs has gone up tremendously.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's another major challenge. I mean, you would have planned to build a house 2 years ago. It's going to cost you at least 25% more today
Right.
than it would have costed you 2 years ago to build that same exact house because of the cost of, as Lyndon said, lumber, cost, the availability, and also, once material cost goes up, the labor cost goes up. And, there's just no way around it. So again, you planned, you had time to research new material, new products. When you place your order, if you're placing 10 before, you're going to order 20 now because you never know when the next shipment is going to come.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
No, the
So
next
it's a
question.
lot.
Go ahead, Mika.
I was going to say it's a lot to think about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
know, and perhaps
correct.
this is something that entrepreneurs need to be aware of. On the outside, sometimes you know, you see the glitz and the glamour, not quite what's behind the scenes. So I like what you gentlemen are saying, just to show that it calls for a lot of work, a lot of foresight, a lot of flexibility, a lot of interaction with your customers to keep them happy. So it's quite a lot as an entrepreneur that you have to keep moving and keeping in balance.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure you keep the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
Don't let that ball pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Always expect the unexpected.
Always accept the
And
unexpected.
of course, keeping on top of the industry trends. You have to, even though
So
you have
true.
to continue to educate your customers and lead the way and show them the possibilities of what. This is how you keep them engaged. You have to be almost the educator, the facilitator, and
And
let
keep
them
your
know
eye-
before they even know they have a need, what
keep
they're
your
going to need.
And keep your eye on your competition.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, well, that's another issue.
Yeah.
But gentlemen,
That's
another
important.
question that's crossing my mind, and the time is going by so quickly, but this is such a great conversation.
It is.
What would you, if you had to characterize the, what is at the core of your success? Not necessarily individually, but let's look at the entire company. Of course, I think your dad is a phenomenal guy, a trailblazer. His story is unique, and I really hope somebody in the family is working on some memoir or some document to really chronicle his story and the advice and he's just a sage of knowledge based on my interaction with him. But if you had to characterize what is the success or what's driving the success of the Ryan group of companies, what would you say it is, Paul?
It's really your brand and the quality of materials that you supply to your customers. The last thing you want to have is customers return goods that are inferior. And yes, a lot of our competition would want to cut price and bring low quality stuff. Linda brings the best lumber you can find, the best materials you can find. His lumber is not sitting outside in the rain, so once you buy it, it's just as good as how it came off the mill.
Keep
Honda,
everything on the go.
exactly. Honda and Isuzu, which are my brands, are the two top brands in the world. And we just really look at branding, after sales service, customer retention, which is very important. Always keep in touch with your customers. Even if you realize your customers driving up the road with a stack of lumber that didn't come from you, you're gonna pick up the phone and call them and ask, what happened? Why is that truck of lumber going up? Didn't come from me. Unless we were out, we expect to maintain our customers, keeping them happy. Whatever we sell them, we expect it to be lasting quality. And that goes for all our stores, the discount center, the hardware store, the car dealership. And again, my dad's buildings. When he was put in construction, I don't think you could have found any contractor who would build a building as strong as he could. So again, making your customers very confident in what you are offering them, whether it's sale or service.
Like that.
That's wonderful.
Anything to add, done?
Lyndon, how would you describe the success, or what would you attribute to your family's business, the success of your family business?
Well, as Paul say, first thing I think, keep your customers happy. Make sure your prices are competitive. Customer service is very important. And you try to find ways of getting your goods at a better price. Try to cut out the third man, or the middleman, I should say. try to buy direct so that you.
Oh dear, have we lost
Yeah, I
him?
think we lost him.
Oh dear.
So your prices basically, become as competitive as possible. You don't want to be in this game and be undersold. Maintaining the quality is key, and still having a competitive price.
So I have a question for both of you. You spoke about your father and how he played such a strong role in getting you to where you are today. How is that legacy continued? Are you passing that on to your children and their children?
We are. Again, our children some have gone separate routes, different routes. But still, once they're on the ground, they always come and assist. But yes, the basic structure in terms of management, funds management, building up yourself has always been instilled, passing down. There are few of our children who are working in the business, but others have become doctors, different things, So,
right. But I like what you said, where you said they've all been learning about basically managing your funds.
Yeah, managing.
That's important.
Absolutely.
We instill that. As old as my kids are, I still tell them, look, this flashing on Facebook with all this fancy clothes is not going to get you anywhere,
But they're young; they got to do their thing.
They got to do their thing, yes, of course. But you got to make sure that it's within their means, because again, they are at the age when we were breaking out to be on our own.
Yes.
My dad put me on my own when I was 16 years of age. So.
What you mean? Put you on your own?
My own home.
Whoa, 16?
Yes.
I missed that. What happened at 16?
He was on his own.
I had to come up the tough way,
Yes, because your mom had passed. I remember your mom had passed before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was a good learning experience. Not everybody breaks out at 16, but it was good to learn how to manage your home from an early age.
So who was doing the cooking at 16? You?
Don't ask me that. Very good working microwave.
That is hilarious.
Oh, so, good at microwave. Okay.
So if I'm understanding you, your mom passed away. And so you took over the family home. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No, he was put out.
No, I moved into one of his apartments.
So
he put me in an apartment, yes. My dad's wife, of course, is always there for us. She's also looking over us, as old as we are, still calls and give guidance, and we communicate on a regular basis. My dad is older now, much older now, and she does need help with him sometimes, and we are there to fit that that need when there is. And we communicate on a business level. We meet to discuss business, we meet to discuss family issues. So it's still a good niche amongst the family.
That is great.
That is wonderful. It looks like we've lost Lyndon.
Yes, I'm hoping he will reconnect.
You're going to have to carry the burden, shoulder the burden for the rest of the show, but we're almost to the end. Sure. I'd like you to, I'm not even going to start from what you're telling me, you probably have close to 50 years of experience running a business at your young age, because you're not even 50, So.
She's too kind.
Very, yeah.
And she knows better.
But tell what advice do you have for, as we started out the show, we talked about the proliferation of small businesses. I think more so than ever. And it's not just a phenomenon that's unique to Antigua. I think younger people, they have an affinity for business. They want to be self-employed. They know they're a lot more astute about building for the future, generating wealth, securing their bag of money and having their own. I mean, they're much more savvy than we were in terms of business ownership, home ownership. What advice do you have, having grown up in a family business, and now you're actually, helping to expand and grow the business and pass down some of the experience to your own children?
Good afternoon.
What advice do you have for persons who are looking to start their own business?
Well, again, it's got to start from doing something that you love to do. I mean, starting a business is really taking a big risk as an entrepreneur. You got to find a niche market, find something that is not common or too popular in a specific location. Try and research and see what a community needs, especially if you're starting a business in a village or something. It could be that the next shop is just too far from this cluster of homes. You can get into, recycling. There's so many different things that you can look at that are not in this set community that you want to set up. But, don't just become another, selling clothes. Everybody seems to want to do that, or selling vegetables on the side of the street. Let's find a niche market that is non-existent or limited in the community that you are in. You would need funding, of course, and if you set out your goal early and start to raise funds towards that, because as you know, the bank's not just going to get up and lend you money if you don't have money and you don't have a proper business plan and those sort of things. So it is very important that you do your research. Of course, you must know something about financial literacy. And I would encourage those who are trying to get into their own business to join your programs and learn more about getting into your own business. Because again, a lot of these businesses have failed because they were not reinvesting in the business. One, they were probably expanding too far, too soon, and again, not prepared for the COVID times or those times when there were serious reduction in business across the world. Oil prices. You saw what happened the other day with gas prices in Antigua,
Right.
And a regular taxi man, his profit line would have been cut so much less than what he'd been accustomed to. The bus guys were complaining. But again, you got to be prepared for the downturn. Every day is not going to be sunshiny and flowing business. So you got to prepare yourself for those times as well as the good times. Because once it turns around, you got to be prepared for that boom, which a lot of businesses are seeing now. The boom from COVID. You saw the massive cruise ships that came into the island over the weekend. Everybody wants to jump on a cruise, get away, spend some money. And again, that is, they want to break out from what was and, be prepared for it. I'm quite sure we didn't have enough taxis on the island to support that venture, but you gotta, as Megan said, you gotta make it work, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's great advice. It looks like Lyndon is trying to rejoin us. But in the meantime, Megan, let's see if we have any questions, any comments from our viewers.
So we have a comment or some comments from Manelva Samuel. She says, the mention of Liberta brings back cherished memories. I used to visit the Liberta home. Do you know Manelva Samuel Epperton, Paul?
The name rings a bell.
And she says, their mom made several dresses for me.
Oh, wow.
Aw.
I hear that a lot from different people.
And she says, I'm proud of all of you. God is good. He
Thank
surely
you,
is.
Madam.
Surely is. All right. Oh, Lyndon is having some problems with his laptop. Can you hear us now, Lyndon? Can you hear us, Lyndon? Okay, he's having some internet problems. Right, so that was all the comments. We didn't have many comments today. So yeah, those were all the comments we have so far.
Okay, well, we're going to get ready to wrap up. We're going to play the video for the financial wellness talk, learn and commit. Once again, and I encourage everyone who's listening to register for that conference. There's so much to learn. We tried to make financial wellness and financial matters fun, engaging, lifestyle oriented. It's like coming to a living room and just talking about the future. How can you improve your financial future? And so financial conversations are critical. And on layering the financial conversations with the education, and then, of course, some accountability, because you have to commit. Anybody can talk. We can talk from now till next week. And having the knowledge is great. But at some point, you have to actually commit and hold yourself accountable to some of the goals that you set out. So we are going to bring in some amazing speakers as well as lifestyle experts, because we're here to hold your hand, to get you on a path of sustainability, planning for the future, and just feeling empowered that you have your finances and your life and your business under control. So we're going to play the video once again. Hopefully we can get Lyndon back in to at least give us his final words. But Paul, we're going to come back to you for your final words momentarily before we wrap up today's show.
So we're doing the video now?
Yes, we're going to do the video now. Okay, we're back. We're back, and we're winding down the discussion today. And we, of course, today we focused on Black entrepreneurship as part of financial wellness awareness, and of course, we're celebrating Black History Month.
You're
So
sounding a
we're
bit garbled
honored
today.
today.
Not sure why. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, we were honored today to be to have two guests, Paul and Lyndon Ryan. They are, of course, with the Ryan Group of Companies, and they shared their story of success with us about how it all started, working in business and actually finding their own niches, running their own subsidiaries in the Ryan Group of Companies, and of course, shared with us the knowledge and the advice and the direction that they got from their father, Sir George Ryan. Paul, we're really delighted to have you and to hear the other side of the story. Of course, we knew you growing up and we saw the fun side, and we knew you had this job. It's fun hearing about more details about that, recognizing that it wasn't all hard work. There was some fun interspersed there. So as we wrap up here today, and I hope we can get Lyndon back to at least share his parting words, Paul, tell us a bit about what's next for the Ryan Group of Companies, and what would you like the legacy of this company to be?
Well, as I mentioned, we have just expanded the hardware store, so that's new and fresh. We expanded the main building, so being interested, don't know what is it today. That's really a comfort for shopping today. And we've just opened up a new section on the outside in the lumberyard where you can shop for different materials, doors, windows, in air conditioned style as well. Choosing your own plywood and stuff like that on the outside. So you really need to go down and see the new Antigua Plumbing and Hardware Center. Of course, while you're down there, don't forget your household goods next door at the Antigua Home and Garden discount. And again, we are, on my side of the thing, we are looking to go, in keeping with the times, to move to electric vehicles, which is where the world seems to be taking us. We are currently offering HEV electric, and we are looking into moving to the next level in terms of going for electric vehicles for Antigua, at least within the next 2 years.
Awesome.
Our next move here will be also to do some renovations to our showroom, which is overdue. That should be done this year. And again, the legacy of the Ryan Group. You did start earlier in the conversation saying that, going to plumbing. But the majority of people who will be saying that they're going over by Ryan, they go by Ryan shop.
Yeah.
That is, my dad is going to leave a very strong legacy and a very strong foundation.
That is true.
To build on. And, it's just for us to maintain what he has started and keep it going. The name will live on forever in households. I mean, that will just be synonymous around Antigua, I think, for many, many decades to come, because we're not going anywhere. We're expanding, we're improving, we are updating our systems to the latest technology. We're just trying to keep up with the times, move with the times. The competition out there is tough, and we're not going to be left behind. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
And I believe that. I truly believe that. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Lyndon is here.
Yes, I can hear you. I had to shift over to
We
myself.
can't see you, but we're going to give you an opportunity to talk about the legacy of the company, where you'd like to see this go.
Well, as Paul said, we want to keep up with the times and try to improve wherever possible to keep customers happy, to be able to serve the customer the best way we can. Customer service is always number one. So we just trying. We don't have any more space here to expand the store anymore, so that is the biggest we can go. At one time, we were planning to do another outlet, but we kind of canceled that for the time being. But because we find that we are central here, we get customers from all over, even Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts. We try to serve even the Caribbean islands.
Yeah, and as
That's why
business goes.
in Dominica.
Oh,
Wow, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and as we know with businesses today, it's not even where you're located, because you can have a warehouse somewhere else, but your physical brick and mortar can be, that's critical in defining your brand. But of course, there are other ways to expand, especially with the type of business that you have.
Yeah, we are looking also to go fully online pretty soon. That you can purchase from the hardware store. It's already at the discount center that you can just go online, log on, purchase items, pay for them, and you can arrange delivery. And that will be coming to the hardware store, your number one hardware store in Antigua.
Nice. All right.
Okay, so the Home Depot has nothing. When I say nothing on
Ryan.
Antigua Plumbing and Hardware.
All right. Ryan.
Ryan. Yep.
Support local.
Fantastic. Now, this has been an amazing
Wonderful.
discussion. I encourage you, gentlemen, and the rest of your siblings, please, somebody needs to start, if it hasn't already begun, someone needs to chronicle this story.
Yes.
You guys are a rare find, I think, not just in Antigua and Barbuda, I dare say maybe even throughout the Caribbean in
Yes.
terms of, how a Black Caribbean guy found his niche, built a foundation, which has now grown into a major business that he can
Creating a
hand
legacy.
down for generations to come.
Mhm.
And it's a classic story and a great example about building generational wealth.
Yes.
This is what people go to school to learn about. This is what professors teach courses about.
Yes.
But you guys are a living
Living it. Yeah.
you guys are the case study. And I really hope that at a minimum, it is used as a case study. Maybe, we now have a university.
Maybe.
I really hope that somebody, entrepreneurship as a course is something that is very well sought after. So I really hope that there are opportunities for the entire family to get involved in telling the story so that you can inspire some of the young wealth builders and some of the young movers and shakers that it can happen. They're a little, as we say on the show, it starts with a little idea.
Mhm.
And how you transform that into a big dream. Of course, you have to put in the work, and we remind everyone about the upcoming conference. Go to our website. Registration should start by tomorrow, and we're going to have lots of ideas, lots of inspiration that can help guide you in building wealth, growing your business, and becoming your own success. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. This has been an amazing show. I learned so much. And to Mr. Ryan, Sir George Ryan, we thank you for your example.
We salute you, sir.
For sharing your life story with us, and of course for your children falling in line in the family business. I'm sure it's not always easy, but here we are today with a lasting success and a testament of your hard work and dedication. I mean, bringing a family together to work together is not, I'm sure that's never easy. So I want to congratulate all of you. I wish you continued success. And don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you guys back, maybe other family members, to learn more about the Ryan Group of Companies, one of the few surviving Black businesses, and a symbol of the strength in our community and entrepreneurship. You have caused us to believe in it again. So to all of our viewers, thank you for joining us. To our technical team, Aaliyah and Nicholas, we want to thank you for supporting us each week. We will have another Black business here next week. We just haven't confirmed it yet, so we don't want to announce it. But of course, we'll send you the information. If you have not yet subscribed to our newsletter, we send out a newsletter every week where we recap the show. We give you some nuggets of truth and wisdom. Send us an email at info@samuelfieldsconsulting.com so we can add you to our mailing list. Of course, like us on Facebook. Go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and so that you can be apprised of all of our new shows and all of the information that we put out there. Everyone, have a great Wednesday evening. We'll see you back next week.
Thank you so much, Paul and Lyndon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone. See you next week.
Fantastic. We'll see you back next week. Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.